Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well and having a fantastic week. Today's video is all about parrot foot health. So we'll be talking about all things feet, things that can go wrong with your parrot's feet, and how to promote great foot health in your birds. Now, to start off with, in case you didn't know the technical term, parrots have what's known as a zygodactyl foot arrangement, which means they have two toes pointing forwards and two toes pointing backwards, and that means that they can get a really good grasp, hold things and perch really well out wherever they may be, whether it's in the wild or under human care. Another interesting fact that you may not know is most parrots are actually left-footed. So if your birds like to hold things, whether that be food or toys, let me know down in the comments, if you give your bird something, which foot they like to hold them in. As I said, most birds are left-footed, unlike most humans who are right-handed, but I thought that was quite interesting, so I thought I'd let you know. So I wanted to go straight in off the bat with perching. Perching is one of the best ways that you can keep your parrot's feet in the best possible condition. Now that means having the right kind of perches and the right thicknesses as well. So let's start off with dowel perches. I'm sure we've all seen these. They come with pretty much every single cage you get, whether it's big or small. Now, dowel perches are undesirable as the only perch in your bird's cage for a variety of reasons. The first is they're very smooth. So that's going to produce a lot of friction on your bird's feet, and that's going to lead to some health conditions, which I'll talk about later on in the video. The other thing as well is they are the same thickness all the way along the rod, so you're not giving your birds a chance to exercise their feet. Now, I will say, and this may be controversial to some people, it is okay to have one dowel rod in your bird's cage as long as the rest of the perches are natural, different thicknesses, all that kind of thing. It is okay to have one as long as it's not like the main perch that your birds use. I think all of my birds' cages, apart from Pickles', all have just one dowel perch in that they use very occasionally. For example, with the boys, it's just where they go for water and they don't drink loads, so they're not always there. But I just wanted to say it is possible to use one of these one dowel perches in your bird's cage as long as the rest of the perches are a wide variety. And you can also make dowel perches a little bit safer by scoring them with a knife or something like that to make a bit more texture on them as well. So the bulk of your parrot's perches should be made out of natural woods, and they can be, as I said so many times, a variety of thicknesses. Now, one perch I wanted to point out, and this is not sponsored, but I do buy a lot of these, are these Trixie Y perches. They're from Amazon, they're about 20 centimetres long, and they cost £1.49, and they always come with bark on. Obviously, I disinfect all of my perches regardless of where I get them from, but they are absolutely fantastic because the birds can strip the bark. They always come in different thicknesses, sizes, and they are natural, and they're so cheap. So if you're looking to upgrade some of your perches, if you have some that are maybe undesirable for your bird's feet, highly recommend getting some of these for your bird. So it is also possible to take branches that have fallen naturally in the wild, clean them up, disinfect them, and you can use them in your bird's cages. However, at the time of filming, you see the date stamp below, you really shouldn't be doing that in the UK because we do have a bird flu outbreak, and it's just not safe to be taking things like that from the wild to give to your birds. But of course, as I've said before, Pickles clearly agrees, she's chatting away. Make sure you disinfect anything that you take from the outside and bring it into your home. But there are some fantastic options. There's loads of safe trees, also lots of not safe trees. So I'll leave some information down in the description if you'd like to know what trees are going to be safe, and then you can go and get some cool natural branches for your birds. So let's talk about sanding perches now. There's a bit of controversy with sanding perches. Some people are totally against them, some people love them. I'm kind of in the middle because there are some pros and cons to all different kinds. For example, for the dowel perches, which you shouldn't have loads of in your cage anyway, you can get these things called sandpaper covers. And I don't believe that they are a good thing for your birds to have because they're really hard and they do cause a lot of abrasion on the base of your bird's feet. So definitely stay away from sandpaper covers. Now, the sanding perches that we have in our birds' cages are these ones. I'll try and put a picture here. They're from Northern Parrots, and they are sort of made up with seashells and that kind of thing, and they're all put together on this perch, and it means that they can chew them, throw the bits around, and also it does keep their nails fairly trim. But of course, at some point, most birds are probably going to need a nail trim because it just happens like that. Now, concrete perches are another option which do have a sanding property. I don't think they're necessarily the best. I don't think they're particularly comfortable for birds, but if it's just that one perch and then you've got a wide variety of other choices, then it should be okay. Now, you can also have rope perches in your cages to give much more variety, and we always recommend sisal or sisal depending on how you say it, or jute perches, because cotton ones whilst they can be nice and soft on your bird's feet, they can cause impaction if they do chew off any of the cotton fibres. And also sometimes if your birds do have slightly longer nails, they can get them caught in the cotton, so just be really careful of those. As I've said in my previous videos, my conures do have rope perches because they don't chew them, but my cockatiels do chew the perches, so they have sisal ones instead. Now, one other kind of perch I wanted to talk about are flat perches or platform perches. We have kind of one in the boys' cage. It's made out of calcium, iodine, that kind of thing, and it's in the shape of a seashell. I think they're really cool. Again, from Northern Parrot. All of the information will be down in the description, but these are really great because they give your birds a chance to really stretch out their feet and have a little rest as well, because when birds are constantly perching like this, it can cause a bit of strain on the feet, so giving them lots of different options is brilliant. And leading on from that, you may have heard me bang on, because I do talk about it pretty much any time I have the chance, is providing substrate at the base of your cage. If your birds really like to explore the bottom of their cage, not all birds will, but most birds will, it's really advisable to get rid of those bars because they're not great for your birds' feet. They can get their feet caught and it's just not very comfortable, and provide your birds with a different kind of option. And we use Easy Bed. You can use untreated pine shavings. But again, I've talked about this before. David's got a whole video on it. I'll leave it in the description and you can make up your own mind about whether you think that bars or substrate would be better. But in my opinion, it's really, really great for your bird's feet and also brilliant enrichment as well. Now, the thing to remember with perches is you can have loads of different sizes. For example, just because I've got small birds like conures and cockatiels doesn't mean that they can't have thicker perches. Sometimes perches come in small, medium and large sizes. We have some large perches for our birds as well as the small ones too, because again, as I said, giving them a variety, Chip clearly agrees, is really, really great for your birds and helps exercise those feet. Having a similar diameter for every single perch you have is just not great because they're not going to be able to flex their feet and get lots of exercise in there. Now to move on to other topics with foot care. I did touch upon it briefly, but nail trimming is really important. You don't want your bird's nails to be getting too long because they'll be getting caught in things and it's actually really uncomfortable. You'll know that your bird's nails are too long if you pop them on a flat surface and their toes kind of bend upwards like that. They should be relatively flat with the nail bending, but it's really important for you to make sure that your bird's nails are nice and trim, either via nail trimming perches, training your birds to accept nail trimming. Birds are going crazy. Or if you absolutely have to, you can go to a vet to get your bird's nails trimmed as well. Now, something I've seen a lot in some of the bird forums online is people get really concerned about their birds having dry feet. And I've seen people slathering coconut oil all over their birds' feet and beaks. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's pretty unnecessary unless your bird has a medical condition. Most birds don't have dry feet. It's a bit of a misconception. But for example, birds like cockatiels, like chip and fish, they produce a lot of dust and dander. All birds will produce some, but cockatiels, cockatoos, that kind of thing, they produce loads of it. And when they shake all of that dust off, it lands on their feet, and their feet are quite scaly, so it all goes into the cracks in the scales and it makes them look really dry, but they're actually not. So I wouldn't recommend slathering your bird's feet in coconut oil like some people recommend. It's completely unnecessary. But in order to promote great skin health and feet health in general, feather health, it is important to try and bathe your birds regularly. And of course, I will be doing a video on bathing training if your birds absolutely hate bathing. It is coming, but I just wanted to mention that. If your bird is really anti-bathing and you've really struggled, just try and steam up your bathroom, have the shower running really warm, keep the door closed so it's a really steamy room, turn off the shower and then just bring your bird into the bathroom. If they're not comfortable with the bathroom, bring them in a cage or a travel cage in the bathroom and just let them be in that steamy room. And this humidity is going to be great for their skin, great for their respiratory system and also great for their feathers too. So really good all-rounder to keep your birds in complete health, but it's really great just in case you think that your birds have dry skin on their feet. Now, we all know that birds are messy and it's no exception when it comes to their perches. They often poop on their perches or wipe old food from their beak on their perches, but it is so important, I can't stress it enough, to try and clean your perches as often as possible. I don't just do them once a week as part of my main clean. I pretty much clean them most days. If I see a poo on there, I'll get it off. Don't just leave it to build up. It's going to make your job a lot harder, and also just getting rid of that poo is so important for your birds. If there's a big build-up of poo and your bird accidentally scratches his foot and then treads in all this bacteria, it's going to be really bad for them. So I can't stress enough to keep up perch hygiene. We use F10 as our main form of disinfectant. It's avian safe, veterinary recommended, and it's absolutely brilliant at getting rid of any kind of built up poo. As I said, I don't really leave it built up, but I just spray it on, leave it for a second to soften, and then I'll wipe it off, and it's really easy if you keep on top of it. So leading on from this, one of the most serious issues that your birds can get with their feet is bumblefoot, and it really should be taken seriously, and you should avoid every possible issue that may arise that could cause bumblefoot. Now there's two kind of schools of thought with bumblefoot as to why it can come about. The first is having mostly these dowel rods, really smooth perches that your birds are constantly rubbing their feet on, which creates these pressure sores which get infected. The other way, as I've just mentioned, is if your bird gets a cut on their feet and there's loads of poo everywhere and all that bacteria is getting in there, it's going to cause an infection in their foot, which can be quite difficult to treat. So it's really important not to get to that point. The best way to do that is to provide lots and lots of natural perches. Make sure your perches are clean and provide lots of different thicknesses as well, so there's lots of opportunities for your birds to exercise their feet and of course not be stuck in the same position. The other important thing to mention is obesity in pet parrots. It's very common because they're either fed the wrong diet and or they're not given appropriate exercise, and that's not just coming out once a day, maybe a couple of slaps and that's it. They need to be regular recall trained, flying in your home if they're not free flight trained, and really getting to use their flight muscles. And when a bird isn't doing that and they're spending a lot of time just kind of sat in their cage, they're not moving, and it's really, really bad for their feet. Now this is because they just sat in one position, they're not moving around, they're not getting a chance to exercise their feet, and it's just generally, as I've said, with the bumblefoot, all that kind of thing, it all adds up and it really is bad for them. Now, it's really good practice to weigh your birds regularly. We actually use the BirdNerdSophie app. They have a free app on the App Store. I don't know if you can see that there. And we've got all of the birds here and we weigh them, we pop their weights in, and it provides a chart so we can see if they've lost a little bit or if they've gained a bit, and we can just keep an eye on things because it's super important. As well as, of course, feeding a really, really healthy diet full of vegetables, sprouted seeds, legumes, grains, a little bit of healthy seed and occasional fruit, obviously depending on your species. Now, as I've said as a disclaimer many times, I'm not a vet. However, for first aid treatment at home, if your bird does accidentally graze itself on its foot, or wherever it may be, you can actually use this F10 treatment that I have here. I'll leave a link to it in the description. It's safe for humans and for birds, which is super important. You can just pop a little bit on the affected area and it really does help. But of course, if you're ever concerned about your bird's health, please do go to an avian vet. Don't just ask on the internet. Don't ask me in the comments. Please just go straight to a vet. It's super important and shouldn't be ignored. Just as a final point, because it's not something I do, but it's important for people who do use it, you can actually vet wrap your perches, whether that be dowel or other perches, to protect your bird's feet. Vet wrap you can buy on Amazon, anywhere else. Again, I'll try and leave some links in the description to ones that I would recommend. And then that can be a nice softer surface for your birds. It's really good for birds with disabilities, as well as senior birds and any other birds that need that extra softness on the perches. However, I have used it for my birds, who are of course all healthy and happy, and I find that they just either poo on it or it comes off, and also it does sometimes go a little bit sticky. So I know people might suggest it in the comments. I just wanted to give those points out there. The last thing I wanted to touch upon is out of cage perches as well. It's all well and good having loads of amazing perches in your bird's cage, but if all they have access to outside of the cage are these play gyms that have dowel rods, it's not going to be ideal for their feet either. Our play gym does have a dowel rod, whoops, but that's okay because they're not on there all the time. They're doing all different kinds of things. They're on us, they're on the base of it foraging, they're on the floor foraging, they're on our soft dining room chairs. So they have lots and lots of options. There are some incredible play gyms that you can get, like Java trees, which have loads of different options and thicknesses and textures, which are really brilliant. But make sure that you have a real variety of out of cage perches as well as the in cage perches. And as I said, you can vet wrap the out of cage perches, and that's absolutely fine. I know a lot of people do it with their training perches, but just compare everything and make sure that you're giving your birds the best possible chance at having brilliant foot health. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have any other questions about parrot foot health or anything parrots in general, please leave them down in the comments, as I would love to speak to you. But from me and Pickles P, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Take care and see you later.